Welcome to the Jali podcast. I'm your host, Melyssa Barrett. This podcast is for those who are interested in the conversation around diversity, inclusion, and equity. Each week, I'll be interviewing a guest who has something special to share or is actively part of building solutions in this space. Let's get started. All right. So this week, I'm excited to talk to Gregory Fobbs Jr. And one of the things I always talk about is having a podcast. I have an opportunity to meet a lot of people that I've never met before. I cannot say that about Gregory Fobbs Jr. because I think I've known you almost all of your life anyway. So having grown up with you myself in many aspects, it is such a pleasure to have you on today.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Melyssa.
Yeah. So I'm excited. I have had the pleasure of not only knowing you for most of your life, but also really just watching you as you thrive. Your all the kind of ups and downs and, all of your maneuvering. You even had a brief consulting stint, I think, at Visa while I was there, which was awesome. And you have been navigating kind of these rivers for a long time. Yes. So before I get to the professional aspects of your career, why don't you give us a little bit about who you are and how you got to be where you are today?
Definitely. Well, thanks, Melyssa. It's a pleasure being on your podcast today. It's been like you mentioned, it's been a long journey. So just to start, I have a 13-year-old, 3-year-old, been married seven years to lovely, beautiful wife, Sandra. Prior to making the move to tech, I worked in education for about 10 years or so. That was very rewarding. Had the opportunity to work with at-risk youth, as well as children with autism, and also coach boys basketball and run a small, an athletic. I was an athletic director at a small charter school in Hayward. So, these type of experiences really, I feel, helped shape me, throughout my tech career now. But I feel like a lot of it has been, taking risk, taking risk, building a network. You've helped me in that. I remember, I'll speak to Visa real quick, taking the shuttle from San Jose, California, all the way to Foster City, and you and Cynthia Mundy taking me out to lunch and seeing you there really, really inspired me. So, I decided to make that change because I felt like I had, and I was driven towards the tech world. So, really keeping that connection with, with college folks, fraternity connects really pushed me to get in kind of on that lower level as a case analyst, making about $16 an hour, but just learning the business and working with accounts and learning the software as a service business. So, so that's how I got started. My journey started in around 2011. Where I did start working at this tech company. And from there, it just really, really increased. I was in school online, finishing my last 2 years of my BA while working full time. So that was a challenge in itself, and having a 1-year-old at that time. So it definitely hasn't been an easy road, I would say. It's been a hard work, dedication, many ups and downs. But throughout those years, I feel like, I've really managed relationships very well. And every place that I've been, I've left a positive influence. And so really, it's all about team building. It's all about building relationships and learning. This is a journey.
Absolutely. Well, and you've done so well at it in terms of just the recruitment process. Because I know even when you go to a particular position, a lot of times there's not necessarily a community that's waiting for you to embrace you and kind of give you the network that you need. So have there been lessons that you've learned at different companies based on kind of going into those companies and just trying to figure out how to move?
Yes, yes. So LinkedIn has been huge, I would say, for me throughout my career. I think I started using LinkedIn back in like 2008. So, I mean, my profile, really tells the full story. I built up my connections to about 2,700, working on hitting the 3,000, but that's helped me along the way because, it really shows a story. It's a picture of your whole journey, right? So that number one, I would say, resume building, cover letters have helped. Really getting a lot of insight from other folks, seeing, getting their view of my materials, and that has helped. I would say also connecting within my community as well. So finding resources within, even my church, like that's helped with connecting with you, with connecting with Cynthia, Chris Brinkley, all of the individuals, Darren Albert, Anika Albert, really connecting with folks who have been there through the journey as well, seeing from their example and where they're at now. That has shaped me and that has helped me along the way. So it's a combination of LinkedIn, taking denial. So denials are okay. I used to get denials along the way and still do up to this day, but really taking that opportunity as a growth opportunity and learning experience, and not putting yourself down and having the utmost confidence in yourself, because ultimately it's not what I felt. It's the companies, it's their loss if they're not, if they don't really want to hire you and you've gone through that amount of experience. So that's a few things that have helped really shape me throughout this journey.
That's fantastic. So then now you have, this journey that has included some level of diversity and inclusion. I know at your last company, I think we talked a little bit about your employee resource group and some of the things that they're doing. What are some of the great things you've seen from an employee resource group perspective? Maybe you can.
Yeah. So at Blackett now, at ServiceNow, there's a lot of opportunities, outreach, things of that nature, going to HBCUs as well, and having, like, for example, hackathons, right? And then bringing some of those resources in as interns, and then hiring them on, after an internship with ServiceNow. So that was awesome to see. For me, while being in the group, I kind of take a step further and go onto LinkedIn and put the service name out there. And so other groups, for example, I'll hashtag diversity and inclusion, or I'll hashtag Black in tech. And from that, a lot of connects start reaching out to me because they see ServiceNow, and then they see Black at Tech, and then they see my story on LinkedIn. And so from there, we talk about, various skills. What are you interested in? Do you have any certifications, things of that nature? Now, I don't have to necessarily have known the person or have worked with the person, but just like you and I are doing right now with a conversation, that's what I'll do. I'll jump on a call with some of these prospects, if you will, and I'll refer them. So based on my conversation with them and having them send over the resume, I'll go in and I've referred, I would say, close to about 10 prospects to ServiceNow. Now, I'm not going to say it, none of them have gotten hired, none of my prospects, but it's the fact that I actually took that step to, go in, engage with them and give them that opportunity. And so to at least interview. So that has helped, I would say, as far as being a part of the group. ServiceNow also did a great job of having a lot of discussions. So around the George Floyd, when that happened, most recently, I'm sure I'm not there any longer, but I'm sure they're going to have one on the recent Buffalo mass shooting. So I do credit the CEO and the company for really stepping up in that way and addressing these issues. That helped me get through those 2+ years while I was there, because I still had to show up to work. I still had to jump on Zoom. I still had to engage internally with folks and clients as well. So those are some of the things that have really helped within Black and Now or the group at Service Now specifically.
So then, I mean, and you talk a lot about relationships and the importance of relationships, which is absolutely true. I think, especially, I remember when I was at Visa and I had, George Floyd was happening. There was a lot of, just challenges. And you talk about, just having to show up. So having gone through, some of that trauma with George Floyd and, really seeing companies create the space for conversation, what's it been like for you in terms of, even microaggressions or other things that may have happened to you along the way? I mean, your journey has not been necessarily a straight one. So, like, what have you learned along the way in terms of just being able to navigate?
Yeah, definitely. So, I will say, I haven't always handled, the stress and the microaggressions and everything in the proper way. But I will say that, taking care of mental health and counseling, I was really fortunate that ServiceNow provided a Lyra health source. So throughout all of those times, I literally had sessions every week. So, Peloton, working out, Lyra health sessions, you name it. Those have all helped me be able to stay focused on, just on getting the job done and being productive. It also helps having a family. So, I have in-laws that I'm taking care of, 2 children and a wife. So, making sure that I stay grounded and sane has helped as well. So things that used to bother me, I would say in the past, or little microaggressions or things of that nature, not anymore. It's one of those things where, and I think maybe remote has helped a little bit as well. So working in a closed office space of my, closet, instead of having to go into the office and kind of be around and interact and kind of hear, side talk or anything of that nature has helped tremendously. I used to travel as well when I was at VeloCloud, which was acquired by VMware. Traveled to about 15 cities across the US. And it was definitely a challenge when going to the tech events, data connectors and tech summits and being in Salt Lake City and being the only, I would say, African-American in the whole conference, that was a challenge, but it helped me. It gave me a confidence that I knew I deserved to be there. I brought value to the company. And ultimately, like, that's what matters. At the end of the day, you're doing a great job, you're productive, and you're being that example because someone else, that looks like you later on is going to have an easier path because you're showing that you can show up. That has helped me, having the support from my family. So as you know as well, because we've known each other for quite some time, there's been a lot of tragic events and just tragedy in my family. Losing a sister at the age 11, just about less than a year ago, losing a sister before her 50th birthday, losing a brother from cancer at his 50th birthday. I mean, I've lost 3 siblings, so there's 4 of us now. All while having to work and showing up, and in addition to racial and just social unrest in our country.
Yeah.
So it's like all of these things compiled on top of each other, and it's like you're still supposed to show up to work. You still have to have a smile on your face. You still have to produce at the end of the day because you need your job. So for me, my faith, church, having other family, friends, and close loved ones live near me has helped.
Yeah.
Because it's like I could just pick up the phone if I'm having a bad day and, we'll talk it out. Or I'll go to the gym and I'll lift it out. Or I'll, just managing that stress in a productive way.
Yeah.
And then just continuing to have that growth mindset. So I would say that, trauma and issues in the world are going to continue to happen, but, staying strong and just keeping your eye on the prize is what really matters.
Yeah. Now, I know you just got another promotion. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And you're going to be working at Entropy.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that process in terms of how did they even find you, or you find them, and what does that look like?
So this is interesting. So so I actually referred, her name is Aza, and I referred her to ServiceNow to be a customer success manager. And throughout the process, it was long, but she ended up deciding to go to Entropy. And so, a few months back, she reached out and she said, "Hey, Greg, like, we're growing rapidly. The team is small. The manager's in Fremont, California, office in Milpitas, that's near you. She's in South Carolina." So I've never met Aza. We were introduced over LinkedIn from a previous colleague of mine. So that goes back to the networking.
Yeah.
I made a good impression on this previous colleague, and "Oh, Greg, he'd be great for the job. He's awesome to work with." And so she referred me. We had a conversation. I sent my resume over to her during the one-on-one with her manager. She, presented my resume. Next thing you know, I'm about 2 days later, I'm getting an email from the manager saying, "Hey, Greg, are you interested?" So from that, it wasn't an easy process. I did have to go through 8 rounds of interviews. So
Wow.
The first round was with the manager, and it included a tech assessment. So that was interesting, but it gave me a lot of insight on how their platform works. And so I was able to, based on experience from the past with various platforms and software as service products, I was able to go in and like really understand the questions he was asking me and kind of do what was asked and go through the whole exercise successfully. So that was awesome. After that, I had a panel interview. So I believe it was with, at that time, the director of customer success, and then also 2 current customer success managers, one on the East Coast and one based in India. That was about an hour-long panel. I mean, obviously drilling questions, why do you want to leave such a great company like ServiceNow? Just a variety of questions. For me, it ultimately came down to room for growth, rapid growth. So, I have 11 years plus of experience in tech. So I want to move rapidly at this point. I'm not getting any younger. So it was one of those things where I saw the opportunity to really help shape the tech, their team and the tech, their company. And so that's what really drove me. The opportunity to work in the office with the co-founder, with the CEO, with the VP of CS, like that's huge. That's huge for me. So I will be going in 3 days a week. I don't have to. It is a remote opportunity. However, I want to show face. And so to kind of keep it short, I had to interview also with the co-founder, the VP of employee development, and the CEO. So they wanted to make sure they're hiring the right candidate, the right fit, and they were all over video. So that was interesting. Obviously, it was nerve-wracking, but I got through that experience. And about a week and a half later, I received the offer. Had to give.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I mean, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about it and, what that experience brings. Because it sounds like what a unique opportunity. But in some ways, I look at the opportunity you just talked about, and it's almost like that's got to be the new norm, right?
Yes.
It's like, you have a network of people. You may not have ever met them in person before.
Yes.
But you have created a relationship. And not only socially, but professionally, they know you enough to be able to understand what you can do, what your strengths and impact are.
Yes.
But also to be able to influence you as an employee, being able to influence your circle now that you have this position or in other positions, being able to bring that positive energy
Yes.
To the company in a productive way.
Definitely.
Which is awesome.
Yes, definitely. It's
awesome.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. And I've already talked to the VP of during the interview process, the VP of employee development about reaching out to the community. So that was one thing that really stood out to them. Hey, like, East Palo Alto or some of these communities, like, what can we do to serve them? And so he mentioned that was one, thing, philanthropy, that they really want to step up and hit that. So that was interesting because it's also like me interviewing them, right? So like, I want to see what they're about as well. If they have, if they're their minds around, social change and doing good. And so that's awesome that they did have that. They do have that mission. So yeah, I just had the opportunity to talk with him even on the interview about that and different things that I want to be involved in with him.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Well, and what an opportunity to be able to bring that influence in with, kind of all of your background and experience, having been at different companies that are managing social impact and really wanting to make an impact in diversity and inclusion. So
yes,
that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Let's pause for a moment. We'll be right back. Tell me, so what else is there about you that you want to bring to the world? Because I think there's so many. I think what's so exciting to me about watching your journey is, first of all, I think in some ways I still think of you as like in your 20s, maybe at the most. So the fact that you're over 40 is kind of like, wait, how old am I? But you have really been able to just navigate a myriad of traumatic events in your personal life, but also in how you're managing your career.
Yeah.
And now, you just seem to have things falling into place, which has to feel good, when you're, when you've been working at it for so long.
Yes. Yes.
So what are some of the keys? I know you mentioned your faith, your church, relationships.
Yep.
Are there other things that have impacted your success in kind of managing through all of those events?
Yeah, definitely. I would say my mother and father, first and foremost, they're both strong individuals. So I definitely have, like my dad mentioned, that DNA, if you will. So that has helped, having strong parents and them being there for support, willing to pick up the phone at, any time and call me and vice versa. I would say that's number one. Also, for me, it's all about, so for example, they have Udemy, there's LinkedIn courses, there are different certifications out there. For me specifically, I love jumping on and learning. I love to learn. So for example, taking on various projects at work. So even outside of my day-to-day, getting involved in those projects just to learn. For example, UAT testing or QA testing, or being a part of, various releases have helped. Even though that's outside maybe the scope of my job, but it helps me understand the systems more and interact with other team members. So, I'll have interactions with product, with engineering, with folks in various countries, Australia, India, and make an impact, with those teams as well. So that has helped me as far as jumping on enablement sessions and being on the panel, even though I don't know all the answers, right? But just being there and hearing some of the questions that come in and then seeing the product owners answer those questions have helped me understand more. So it's not just about focusing on my day-to-day job. it's about stepping out and learning even more. So that's what's really helped me, I would say, throughout this journey.
Well, and how exciting. I mean, I think some people are, not necessarily enjoying the fact that they have to go back into the office, but I love the fact that, you have an opportunity to be hybrid, to really get in there and learn from the leadership, and understand what their mission and objectives are, so that you can, in fact, grow yourself in a company that is fast growing.
Yes.
So that's phenomenal. So what's next for Greg Fobbs?
So I'm looking forward to, so I have a week off. So I have this week off of work, but I'm going to start the new company, Eltropy, on the 23rd. I'm very excited about that. I would say what's next as far as maybe the next 5 years or so. I would say that, I'd love to be, maybe by that time, a director of customer success, maybe a manager in, a year or two of customer success, director. Not really sure about that VP level yet, but I think I may stop at that director. And so I could, keep being able to keep spending time with my family and loved ones. I would love to, at some point, purchase land in Costa Rica and build an Airbnb business out there. So my wife and I did have the opportunity to visit the Caribbean side of Costa Rica last October. It was amazing. We fell in love with it. There were a ton of folks who looked like us. And in fact, they thought we spoke Spanish. So we have to learn some Spanish, but we had an amazing time. We met a bunch of awesome people. I have a few folks there now who I could call my friend. And so one day, we'd love to purchase some land out there, build about 3 or 4 bungalows on that land, and, run an Airbnb. Now, we have the home here in California, but I would love to have this as maybe a vacation destination spot, even for my family. So some of my family have never been out of, for example, Sacramento, California, Stockton Boulevard, Oak Park. So taking them to Costa Rica one day, I mean, I would just love that, having them see the blue water and, the culture and the food, and just it's not all it's not all Sacramento. It's not, there's other parts of the world, so that would be amazing. So I would say that's my dream. And that's a plan that's very, very doable. My wife's on board with. For me, it's all about continuing to try to build that equity. I'm not trying to, be rich or anything of that aspect. I'm trying to make a good living But
that would be okay.
Yes. That would be great. That would be awesome. But I do want to make sure my children are taken care of. That they don't have to, worry about, hey, if I want to go to, University of Arizona, my dad could pay for that,
Right.
And so I think that's where I want to get to the point of where being very comfortable, where, we can enjoy those type of things in life and, give back as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Being able to address that wealth gap is a significant challenge, I think, for many. So anything we can do. And I think, you speaking that into existence, it's like, okay, you're going to look back and listen to this podcast and you're going to say, did I do all of these things that I said I was going to do? So I'm looking forward to my trip to Costa Rica to to hang out with the Fobbs.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah,
awesome.
It would be nice. Yeah, we loved it there.
That is one place I have never been, to Costa Rica. So would love to go.
Yes, it's an awesome experience. Real short, I tried to, speak to my father about it, and, and even my mom, but it's a lot of my family, it's going to take some convincing, I would say,
Yeah,
leaving
they're enjoying California.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, what's nice about being able to go to other places is you do gain perspective that you don't even know you're missing.
Yes.
And I think that's what people miss if they don't travel, internationally,
Yes.
is you don't really understand just all the history, the culture, the people. There's just so much richness out there that we don't know we're missing.
Yes.
Especially in the United States. I mean, obviously the United States is a wonderful place, but there are so many just things you can learn from history to understand how we interconnect, why we interconnect.
Yes.
And, so that when you're talking to somebody, I think that's one of the things that I love so much, is being able to talk to people and really understand where they're coming from, what their history looks like, what is their story. And, I feel like I've known, I think I've known your parents since I was maybe 17 years old or something. So it's surreal for me to be able to really connect with you as kind of the next generation. You're like my kids' age, but, a little older. But, it's just been a wonderful thing to watch you really manage your career, especially in a technical area where you don't see a lot of Black men, managing there. So, I'm excited. And I'm looking forward to seeing so much more, and having you bring more with you as you go.
Yes. No, I appreciate it. And like I mentioned before, you being there just to really give me feedback, and also seeing your example has helped me along the way. So I'm definitely excited about what the future holds, and looking forward to sharing this journey with, not just my family, friends, everyone. As I post so much on Facebook and LinkedIn, but I mean, it's literally like, I want my family to see this. I want people to be inspired. That's huge. That's huge for me. It's not one of those things of kind of showing off or anything of that effect. It's like, no, like, I'm a Black man who makes us successful with a great family. I want to present that to the world. So, and I think that that's okay. So,
well, and sometimes, those stories, you don't see them very often. Right. So it's great when you have that confidence to be able to put yourself out there and really show people that your life is fantastic. You all are doing great. And I know we enjoy you all the time. So I'm so excited to see all of the things that you all are bringing to the world.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Melyssa.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you for being with us on the Jali podcast. As you know, it is a podcast all about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And guess what? Diversity, equity, and inclusion is infused in everything we do. Yes. And so I love talking to people about their own journey, some of the things that they've done, how you're influencing and impacting the world. So thank you, Gregory E. Fobbs Jr., for what you're doing in the world. And we look forward to hearing more from you and Eltropy.
Yes, definitely. Thanks, Melyssa. I appreciate your time.
Thanks for joining me on the Jali podcast. Please subscribe so you won't miss an episode. See you next week.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.